pens. May I, please? Thank you.
We are recording now.
Thank you. All right, good morning, everybody. Call this meeting of the Capital Program Committee to order Thursday, October 20th, shortly after 10 a.m. Meeting is being audio video recorded. Please don't say or broadcast anything you don't want to be broadcast on the town's YouTube channel. I'll get a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Richard, on your motion.
Aye.
Christie.
Aye.
Jill.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. I don't see any members of the public, so we won't be taking public comment. Minutes, potential adoption minutes from October 6th. I don't know where I am with those. How about a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
On your motion?
Aye.
Christie?
Aye.
Jill?
Aye.
And I abstain. We're gonna hit capital request for an out years for DPW transportation this morning. So I see Stephen here and Greg. Why don't you guys take a quick look at my spreadsheet again. Stephen, why don't you take it from the top? What we'd like to do is, obviously go down the list. We'll take questions. Hopefully you'll take questions as we go. And while you're on a topic, if you want a 24 topic, if it has a 25 expense, if you want to spend a minute on that, that'd be helpful.
Mr. Chair, before Stephen starts, can I
Yeah.
make one comment?
Yeah, please.
Millie's Bridge was actually done, I believe, with natural resources back in September, according to Rick. And we're going to be coming at one of the flex meetings with an update to what was presented in September. So we're not going to go over that one today.
Okay.
And then just so the committee's aware, Greg Tivnan is also in the meeting, and he will be the primary one to discuss the supplemental funding for Surfside area roads, Lovers Lane, Monahanset, and Orkaway.
Right.
Okay,
Okay. Sounds
just
good.
to update the committee.
All right, gentlemen, with that update, let's roll.
Okay, good morning, everyone. As you can see, our transportation plan, we have at first is the DPW Fuel Tank. We do have plans for the DPW in the future to move to different campus, but that's going to be for a few years. So, but we need a fuel tank on campus right now. Our previous one was decommissioned. One of the supporting structures was compromised, so we can't use it. We've been going to the one at the old fire station. So we'll be addressing that for this upcoming fiscal year. And I'm going to kind of combine a number of these, sidewalk improvement plan, roads, cobblestones, and multi-use path. We are relooking at our processes and trying to develop life cycle plans for all four of these rights of way, all four of these types. And even though we have something for the bicycle paths or the multi-use paths and for roads, sidewalks and cobblestones weren't necessarily included in that. We're working with a contractor to have something more detailed, using a better method of prioritizing and distributing throughout, and planning for these these maintenance programs, do better data collection, as well as be able to put out to the public what we are actually going to be working on an annual basis. So it may seem a bit simplistic, what I've sent forward for cobblestones and sidewalks, but as of right now, with the funds we have available, we are going to be doing some patchwork on for fiscal year 24 for cobblestones for North Water Street and Main Street. That is not meant to imply that we're going to be working from curb to curb. We're going to be looking at some of the worst drops, worst areas of Main Street and of North Water, and addressing those and smoothing them out for safety and just for so that people have better travel on those surfaces. And same with the sidewalks as well. We're focusing on in-town sidewalks, the brickwork, Right, this fiscal year, we're on Center Street, but next we want to work, let's see here, where's my list? I don't have it on the correct tab. Of course I don't. Let's see here. On the off street of that, India. And we want to complete things fully as far as the sidewalks. So we're doing full work on the sidewalks from all of Center Street for this fiscal year, but for next fiscal year will be India. And it will cost approximately the entire amount, about the 1,100,000. It's a significant amount of cost for that. For road improvements and maintenance, we have I'm sorry.
Okay, Stephen, just one sec.
Yes.
If you don't mind, guys, questions on the sidewalks? Improvement plan.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Christie.
Steve, I'm curious how you guys got their idea of what is high priority, when they drive around but how do you guys go about actually picking out what is, what's high priority?
We listed out the sidewalks, did an on-the-ground inspection of all the sidewalks that we had to work, and it's a pretty long list, a variety of issues in different locations downtown, and then we put that against the budget and what we can do as a whole. We wanted to do more than just patchwork. We wanted to show an entire length complete. So that's why we settled on India for fiscal year 24. But with that, once we will have a contractor coming in and working with us for our future prioritization to figure out, what their assessment is for our sidewalks and what kind of life cycle plan they recommend. And then we may adjust in the future, but that's what we have for right now.
Just make comments.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you mentioned something in the beginning about, maybe better informing the public on what you're going to be working on and what you'll be working on in the future, but I would also add, if it's in a document, maybe show also what you've already done, just so you can sort of, show the community that, you guys have done quite a bit up to this point, that the program works, just a comment.
No, thank you. That's a good point. The life cycle list that I've discussed with the team and with the contractor is going to be a list of all of our roads, all of our sidewalks, and it's going to show completion, when it was serviced, and then dates as to when the upcoming roads will be addressed. So it'll be a lot more predictable, and it'll be a living document. So if future projects conflict with our prioritized list, we'll just make an adjustment and put out the improved, the updated version.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Stephen. Yeah, I just echo on the reference materials, both forward-looking and in the rearview window. Very helpful for us and general discussion in the community. I'm just curious, are there any fire cisterns on this in this area you're aware of that you guys are going to infill while you're there?
I'm not aware of any fire cisterns in that area, but I'll work with water and sewer to figure out if there is any in that location. I wasn't aware of any there. I'm only aware of a couple of other locations, namely right now the one that's in my mind is is at the Atlantic intersection. But
okay, yeah. I mentioned it because I was speaking to an old timer the other day, actually, literally the other day. And this topic came up, and the idea was that they are around town. Obviously, you guys have found a bunch of them, but some of them been partially covered over, and then over the years they've been the plate steel has been covered over with a little bit of tar, but then you open up the sidewalk and you find it below. So yeah, just a comment. And then the other thing I just mentioned for the public, this is really upper India Street, if you will. So from Center to the parallel Liberty Street, and not down towards the
Not
post
in
office.
town. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah, road improvements?
Road improvements, for some reason, I can't pull my list up. Once, excuse me, I'm sorry about the delay here.
No, it's fine. Go ahead, Christie.
Steve, I just have a quick question. As far
Please.
you mentioned, so I'm sorry, for India Street, did you say it's from Gardner to Center?
From Center to parallel Liberty. Not the Liberty because Liberty goes up and over.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So it's that block in between Center Street and Liberty heading out of town. And then
Right.
heading into town that's not part of this one.
Got it. All right.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Sure. The Stephen and Steven show.
Yeah.
It's good to have another Steven around. Let's see here. I apologize. I don't know why I'm having issues with this here.
While you're pulling that up, Stephen. So the fuel tank, yeah, Richard, is straight up DPW. That's been addressed already through the police presentation.
Is it?
Yeah.
Brian said
I
that too.
thought it wasn't, but if you look in Plum,
Yeah.
Steven said Charlie did talk about it and he is listed as the point of contact for it.
Okay.
So
And I
so
remembered
we
we was
thought it was-
DPW, yeah, so
Yeah.
then I was thinking maybe is there two of them?
Yeah, okay, so they're not, yeah, okay.
I think maybe it's because it's a shared use or something. Okay, so that's sidewalks.
Yeah, I am sorry. This is interesting. It's like it's vanished.
Is this something that was attached in the database, Stephen, or,
That's what I'm
Like your-
looking for now. I'm looking for my backup here.
and can you bring up Paul?
If someone can remember their own login, sure, I don't have it. I don't remember it.
There, right here.
Yeah, mine is,
Well, you can, who's using Chrome? I don't even know what this is. Person. I don't remember what the database. email is.
the underline is a capital and that's.
No, I don't remember.
Yeah,
the
no, I'm gonna-
URL.
gonna
It's-
give you
oh,
that.
sorry. Sent.
It's difficult to remember. It's nantucketcapitalrequest.org. Smart out. I had to look it up. See, we're gonna pull it up here.
Okay, my apologies.
It's under the supplemental docs.
I think in an effort to be prepared, I pulled up too much and it's like acting, so it's not behaving.
S Welch,
STEPH
STEPH
at welch-associates.com.
Welch. Associates. Need to spell that right?
Stephen?
.com.
There you go. Yeah, Jill.
No, Sue.
Oh, sorry, Sue.
I have about 2 minutes, but I do have Plum open. What do you guys need to look up? I'm sorry, I was out of the room.
No, that's fine. And you're fine to leave
Roads.
at your earliest convenience. We're gonna pull it up from here, Sue.
You sure? I can, I'm easily can do it if you know what you're, it's up to Brian.
No, if you can do it, because I'm having trouble logging in.
Okay, what are we looking for?
We want to go do DPW transportation, road improvements, supplemental docs.
Okay, hang one sec.
The only thing is if you're leaving in a minute,
Yep.
you'll be on screen share and can we shut that off from this side?
I was gonna leave it up for the projects unless you want me to shut it off. It'll shut off when I leave the meeting, or I'm sorry, when you guys end the meeting. But if you want it
So
shut it
we
off.
can leave, we can leave that up if you want. She can leave.
Let me just try and get it.
Yeah, why don't you just type your password? What?
Memory.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
it's
Road
not your fault.
improvements.
Oh my God.
Because otherwise we won't be able to view other documents as we go through the meeting.
Okay, so you want me to share the road improvement doc?
No, we're going to.
Okay, I got it up, though.
Okay, hold for 1 second if you would, please.
That's about all I got. Okay.
There you go. Yeah, so we'll pull it up and then that way we can change the subject matter as we go through the rest of the presentation.
Oh, yeah, we can move forward.
Okay, so do you want me to stop screen sharing?
Yes, please.
Okay, all right, so
Thank you.
sorry I
We-
can't stay.
No, we appreciate the offer and condolences. Don't even need to be here.
Thank you.
If you don't mind, can we move to Wisconsin and then I can see if I can pull.
So what we do is go to Rory's, Brian,
Rory.
Oh, you already got it?
And
Where
then-
you can.
and
you
then
can-
insert shit transportation. Type transportation. I mean, you could type roads, but at this point. And it's. There,
Road
one more.
improvements island, like this one right here, right? Yes,
Yeah,
gotta be.
and then on the left, supplemental docs. There you go.
Oh, God, okay.
You could take it up a couple clicks. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and then,
All right, Stephen, we're back on the road again.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
okay. Can everyone see that?
Yep.
Okay. It's all you now, Stephen.
Okay. So now all these roads, excuse me, all require minor rehabilitation, which is basically a mill and overlay. That would be, we have one contractor who can take care of that. And the other will be for preventive maintenance, another fog seal, crack seal. That will prolong the life of these roads. We have focused mainly on our main stretches such as Pulpus, Matakit, but we still have so many other roads that need to be addressed. So this list is broken down into a type of order of merit with the RSR program. It's a combination of different factors that give it a different rating. The lower the number, the more work is needed, and the stronger the recommendation, basically. So minor rehabilitation basically equates to a mill and overlay. If it's considered a major rehabilitation, you'd need some subsurface work done. And so these roads here are what we have in mind for fiscal year 24. We understand that we may run into some issues with local construction or possible water or sewer situations as we go down the list, but this is our current order of merit right now.
Okay. And it appears that there's about the difference of the $300,000 or so, then that is going to be strictly maintenance on other roadways.
Yes, I've found that we unfortunately, and hopefully this will be reduced as we move in the future. There's always some area that experiences a sinkhole or some type of significant damage during the year that we need to address, and then we worry that we don't have the funds available for it. So didn't want to commit every single dime. We want to have a little bit left to the side for any unexpected work, especially if doing the mill and overlays. We may, if just like with Eel Point Road, unexpectedly we found we found 2 covered catch basins that were just paved over. So we had to check that, inspect it, bring it back up to the road so it could be of use. So it's almost like an Indiana Jones thing. Whenever we do a mill and overlay, or whenever we dig, we don't necessarily know what we're going to find underneath. So we're trying to have a little bit on the side to be prepared for any type of contingency, or if there's another issue.
Okay, thank you. Questions for Stephen on this? Okay, Stephen, just in terms of we were originally talking about reference materials for the road, for the sidewalks. I mean, something like the spreadsheet is, I think, very sufficient for our needs. And it seems as though it would dovetail nicely with your own workflow, how you guys are processing the information. So, the point being, we're not creating more work for you, but we're getting information. And then there just might be, on the rear view mirror side of it, just some indication, with a highlighting or something, or another page that shows what was complete the prior year. So this would be very helpful in that regard too. But I wanted to communicate that with respect to sidewalks, I think this is more than sufficient unless other members feel differently.
I mean, roadways.
Well, no, because we were talking about the
Oh,
sidewalks.
okay.
So this is a great example,
What's the next column on?
the update.
Oh, sorry.
Before estimate.
And Steve, is that just a percentage escalator for inflation or in cost, or was this actually broken out since 2019?
Yeah, no, I added 6% per year from the original assessment. So I went very, very conservative with it, not conservative, I should say liberal, expecting a great amount of increase in costs.
So an incremental 6% each year?
Yes, from the original study. So for 2024, the study was actually done at the end of 2018 and produced in 2019.
And Steve,
We've seen
sorry.
a significant increase in logistics and in materials in the work. So that was just to cover those unexpected costs. Hopefully it'll be less than that.
Stephen, this comes from the road management plan. Is that what the basis was for from 2018?
Yes.
Okay,
This
thank you.
is produced by the contractor we're going to be working with, that we are working with. I adjusted the cost for 2024 and we did discuss this. He would go a little more conservative, 5%. So we had that debate and we put it at 6% per year.
Anticipating that it'll be bid out, and if he comes in under, obviously the money doesn't get spent, but it can be, if it's approved at town meeting, it can be appropriated for other road maintenance work, correct?
Exactly.
Okay, just to make sure we're all on the same page. Okay, yeah, this is very helpful. Thank you. Oh, one question. I did
Sure.
see Newtown Road in there,
Uh-huh.
and I was pretty clear, didn't we approve, forgive me, I should know this, but some of these requests come back year after year and it's hard to remember when it got approved, but didn't Newtown get approved for widening with either sidewalk or a multi-use path?
Yes. I think a year ago
Yeah,
or so.
not a gotcha moment, but Stephen, just to, if you might take that one out and plan accordingly, or maybe you have and you could let us know.
Oh, no, definitely. Actually, all of these roads, before we move forward with it, we'll have to do a sit down with water and sewer beforehand. Make sure, and with National Grid, we do our monthly utility meeting. So this will be shared. Make sure we have no conflicts, because whenever we lift blacktop, we want to make sure that if anything in the ground needs to be addressed, that we conference with everyone else first, make sure that they have an opportunity to get in there and address the situation before we pave it. Because we're right now, I think we are in the practice of keeping roads. We don't want roads to be cut into less than 3 years old. Considering asking the town to extend that to 5 years. But with that, we have to do our due diligence and make sure we're talking to all utilities that would have interest, and all property owners that would have interest in anything underneath the road, and have it addressed before we pave it. So this list seems simple and straightforward, but there are other planning measures we have to consider before we move forward with it, doing any of this work.
Okay, yeah, no, and I appreciate the idea you're checking in, obviously good management. I know DPW and Waterman working closely, good to know that DPW is. Silver Street comes to mind.
Oh, yeah.
Because if there's any drainage work to be done there, there is a request in for drainage system and repaving there through the DPW, through the sewer department. under stormwater. You're probably aware of that, but I just mentioned it.
And if any of these roads come underneath the project, as you said, I don't believe the public needs to have every piece of this information. Maybe this committee does, but we'll simplify it and then put the status on the side of it. If it's underneath if it's underneath the plan of a project, then we'll state is, reference the project. But if it's considered regular DPW maintenance, then we'll state it as such. So we can deconflict it, and we have to do better communicating with the community. And I know this is not perfect, but it's a start.
No, I mean, this is a high level of detail with respect to at least knowing what roads are affected or intended to be maintained. And, obviously it's going to be many more layers of involvement to get information out to people who are affected. And so I have no complaints. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Next up. See the Millie's Bridge, we're passing over the multi-use pass.
Can I stop screen sharing this, Mr.
Yeah,
Chair?
please. Actually, would you pull up, I don't remember for this. Stephen, do you have a similar, do you have a similar list for the multi-use paths? I don't recall.
I had those together.
Oh, is that what the line at the bottom was?
No, it was I had them on an Excel version of that, and so I've lost that document. I think I've actually inadvertently removed it. Let me see.
We'll pull it up at this end. It's the same one, bottom one. You want to start with the spreadsheet or the backlog summary?
Are you talking about this one or?
Oh, I thought it might be it looked to be labeled the same. I thought it might be the same type of a spreadsheet.
Well, let me look. No, it's not.
So
Here's the backlog summary. Is that what you're looking for?
yeah, Stephen, you want to start with the backlog summary? Did I lose him?
That right there, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. Oh, he's muted. Can you unmute?
He is.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay. No, I was trying to look up the same information. Okay, with the backlog, this is how it's broken down with working with Beta, with preventive maintenance, routine maintenance, no maintenance. We've done a great deal of fog seal and crack seal work last year, and it went very well. It's in an effort to reduce overall costs. And so this is basically how this is basically broken down by the length, square yards, percentage. Just wanted to show you how things were rated and how everything was calculated.
Okay. And then is it going to be beneficial in terms of any questions on this sheet, fellas? You've got two other ones that might be relevant. I think the
maintenance one.
Yeah, there's a full pack, and then the other one, I lost the title of them when I opened them up.
Is this the one you're looking for? This was called Fiscal 24 Multi-Use Path Maintenance.
No, bike path map. Stephen, how about we just pull up the map and you can refer to that? Is that helpful?
That'd be great. Yeah, because it's I'm sorry, gentlemen. I shouldn't have, ladies and gentlemen.
Can everyone see that? Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Just scroll down just a little bit.
Sorry. Mr. Chair.
No, thank you.
Yeah, this is going to be part of our regular life cycle plan for every 3 to 4 years for the contractor to come out, assess, and to do the repairs. As you can see, the dark blue is no maintenance required. Then we have the routine and preventive maintenance. There is a great there's a great deal of work that needs to be done on the outskirts and in town. But we will deconflict that with certain projects. Like we have the project we have the initiative to try to connect 6FG and have it go all the way to town unabated with trying to make a nice traveled path. But this is focused on the bike path itself. There's a variety of work that has to happen, but the assessment is kind of old, so we're having them come back over, do another assessment, and then repair what they can within the parameters of our contract and within the funds that we have. Of course, we'll take care of anything broken and disjointed first, and then anything else that we see that is in danger of breaking down, then we'll address that as well. So we'll do it incrementally, so to make sure we're controlling the costs and we're not going over.
Okay. And then Stephen, so this is fed from your the beta report on the maintenance, the bike path facilities maintenance plan.
Yes, and it's a similar breakdown to the roads. We were contracted with roads and with the multi-use paths with beta. It did not include sidewalks or cobblestone paths, but that's been addressed now. We've changed that.
The other. Oops.
I have screen share, so I have to stop.
Okay. So Stephen, that's a pretty comprehensive report. We're just trying to bring it up at this end. Not to necessarily certainly not to go through page by
Are you
page.
talking about the facility summary?
Yeah.
This one here?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
So like this would be to
And
me,
just to share it so you can see it quickly.
I mean, this is all the bells and whistles approach. If we had this for the roads and the sidewalks, this is like
If you
community.
go to page 12, it'll give you the list that's similar to the RSR report for the roads, as far as the listings. And we go by the order of priority, and the bike paths are a little bit easier to address because we address it as an entire system. The roads, the expense of the roads is a bit much, so we have to be careful with our spending there. But we can address these as a whole to some degree.
Thank you.
This is.
So Stephen, just on the information and presentation, as I said, the capital program committee, I think we can work with fairly well with this information here in spreadsheet form. You mentioned, improving communications with the community. Is this type of report what the vendor will be doing when they come back to update, or will it be more just costs and less presentation?
No, we've addressed that as well. We're going to have a plan for our rights of way, and there will be a presentation. There will be a community-friendly version of this to post on our website. That's something that is also part of it.
Okay, thank you.
Realize
Yeah,
the community itself they don't need all these numbers. They just want to know what's being done, when are we doing it, and to address any conflicts. So we will have that as well.
yeah,
The
very helpful.
company Beta's been very good with working with us on this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off again.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. We have different people have different pause periods. I've got to better master that. No, I just wanted to point out that this level of detail with respect to the spreadsheet is helpful for Capcom, and I think the rest of it would be helpful for the community. As you said, the idea, a lot of it is reproducible with respect to the images that show the different levels of degradation and the information on how they get ranked. So it's good for the community to be able to access that and understand the level of work that goes into something as simple as maintaining the bike paths.
Yes. We want to move away from the reacting to the loudest person. I get it. Sometimes that's a good thing, but we do want to have a scientific method behind why we put certain roads first. And then we can deconflict it with competing interests with water, sewer, national grid, and move forward from there.
Sounds like a marvelous approach. How about questions, guys? Sorry. No. Cobblestones?
Stop sharing this.
That's a little more tricky, but I did convince our contractors to help us out with that, to do an assessment. They said they could do it. The cobblestones it's kind of a combination of cobblestones, Belgian block, and let me see here. Where's for some reason I have that one. That one popped up. Cobblestones, Belgian block, and what's the other one? And brick. That is an expensive effort, so we're going to be doing patchwork for that for right now. We are looking at North Water and also Main Street. I don't have a graphic, I apologize, and I don't have it detailed here, but we're looking at doing a minor work on Main Street, possibly just small sections, just to make it more traversable and make sure that the pedestrian crosswalks are good. North Water Street, there are a few areas that are deteriorating, and we're going to patch that up as well. So in percentage terms, about 10% of Main Street and about 25% of North Water Street will be addressing. I apologize, I don't have a graphic for that, but we will be producing it and where we're going to be doing the repairs. But it's quite expensive. We can't possibly address it as a whole, especially Main Street. We're looking to do a major project in the future for Main Street from door to door. I don't have that proposal ready yet.
Okay. And then your other supplemental information included, I think, well, I just pulled it up. So some of Liberty Street, Liberty to Center, Gardner Court to Orange, the dead end there, Stone Alley, New Whale Street, and Lower Pearl Street. Yeah. Can you speak on this?
Okay, these assessments were done using terminology from Beta, but Beta did basically a paper assessment for us. These are recommendations they gave us without actually having eyes on. So I realized we had to make some adjustments there. So that's why we're focusing on North Water and Main. Stone Alley, Gardner Court aren't necessarily priorities. They're being the location and where they are, but we still want to address them at some point. So this isn't exactly prioritized. This is basically based on condition as far as the assessment. But this is what I initially came up with for fiscal year 24 until we actually walked all those locations. And so we decided to focus on North Water and parts of Main Street to address. This is going to be pushed out to a later fiscal year.
Okay, so this demonstrates part of your review cycle, but not part of the request for this year.
Not for this year, no. It's only those two roads for North Water and for Main. This is one of my preliminary submissions, and so I apologize for that. But it was part of our cycle. Our processes at DPW, we were not 100% efficient on. We were kind of the town has put up with a lot of delays from us, and the information wasn't fully vetted at this time when I submitted this. So after we walked through, we realized that we needed to focus on doing some minor repairs to Main Street and North Water.
Mm-hmm. Okay, no, fair enough. I saw it and I wasn't quite certain what it was. It's helpful information. Just with respect to, there's a lot of time put into the cobblestones, a lot of community discussion about the methodologies and so on and so forth. And hopefully that's something you guys are incorporating into how you're proceeding. So I just
Well,
want to
yes.
mention that.
Like, this year, for this fiscal year, we've addressed, that 2-foot drop on the top left-hand corner of, Cobblestone Hill, if you're at the bottom, coming up. And, we are addressing them as best we could from our on-site reviews, but we will have a contractor come in, and that's part of it too. So we'll have a similar listing, but it'll be a much shorter list. And, have some signed, have someone with a third party with a lot of detail behind it, reinforcing our methods, why we're doing it.
Mhm. I was actually referring to, there was a best practices on the installation work, but I'm
Oh, okay.
not necessarily to get into in discussion. I just wanted to, mention it because it did take a lot of, there's a lot of people involved in the community discussion on it. So I felt that was appropriate.
And that we, right now, right now is mostly Victor Brandon that we use, but we do have, on record how the proper installation and how it's supposed to go in, and we are working with HGC. So I know there was a huge debate in the past on how do we on how to make the cobblestones better. We are currently not contradicting any of that. We're working with HGC and trying to maintain the standard that they have on record.
Okay, thanks for that. Thanks for that information. On the cobblestones, so, it's pretty clear that there's a placeholder for out years, and we just anticipate that this is going to continue to be roughly the cost.
Yes, right now, the amount of money we're asking for is strictly for repairs. To do a complete overhaul of a particular section or segment will be significant. But with the help of our contractor, we're going to go through to see if we can do it in a more we can have a systematic approach to repairing it incrementally and within a reasonable amount of cost. So that's part of the assessment that's coming up. I don't have it yet, though.
Totally fine. Thank you. That's just all helpful information. Any other questions? Christie?
2 questions. Stephen, do you know if there's a balance in this account for the cobblestones?
Yes, we do have some money left over from the previous year. And what we would do, we do have money left over, yes.
How does that fall into getting allotted or assigned to a project?
I would make a request from finance that we continue using those funds for this purpose, and just basically discuss it with Brian, with Libby, make sure that I can use those funds and move them forward.
My other question is, you mentioned Cobble Hill. Cobble Hill is one of those streets where cars kind of hopscotch around each other and hop the curb. Is there any coordination with sidewalks and cobblestone, say in that instance, where it might be beneficial to, I don't know if you can, because maybe it's historic, but you lose the actual curb and you make a flat sidewalk that continues up, that doesn't have an actual curb for vehicles to pass? Not that you want the cars driving up the sidewalk the whole way, but just to give a little, I just didn't know if there was any coordination between some of these different accounts.
Yes, we before we address any of the cobblestones, I talked to HDC, and we have requested changes. Hey, can we change this? Can we change that? It doesn't appear that any changes we make can be done without a significant amount of dialogue and a number of meetings. So what we are doing right currently is just bringing it back to where it was. We haven't been in a situation yet where we've insisted on a change, where I've actually lobbied for a major change here or there. But that's something to consider. I didn't put that in my request for the current contractor's assessment, but that's something we can discuss. I didn't really consider that.
It's a quick follow-up. Yeah, I would say, if you're fixing sidewalks that, it's a road that cars are normally jumping the curb and riding along, then maybe there's a different way to think about it.
But I will say we have coordinated the repair. So if repairing the cobblestones requires changing the curbing or reinforcing the sidewalk in order to maintain the integrity of the cobblestones, I have given permission for that. We've done that actually in the previous work we did when we had to lift the cobblestones up at that corner, that transitional corner on the top left side. They had to do a little bit of sidewalk and move the curbing around a bit in order to make sure it's stable. But as far as bringing it all down, that's going to be a major discussion.
Yeah.
Probably the town's going to vote on it, I guess. I don't think that's
Understood.
definitely not my decision to make.
Yeah, understood. Just a thought.
Thank you. Thanks, Richard.
Yeah.
You good?
Steve, I just have a couple of questions. Actually, one. Do any of the medium requests fall under imminent threat?
Do any of the immediate requests?
Medium, the requests that you have listed as medium, do any of them involve an imminent threat to safety? So far, of the ones we've discussed?
To safety. Let me see. For
One
safety.
reason,
I
if there are requests that involve imminent threat to safety, I would encourage you to maybe think about bumping them up to a high.
I know it's debated on the footbridge and Billy's Bridge. As the assessments that I was given didn't meet the requirements of imminent threat at the time. I would have to check on that. I don't believe they do. If that's not an agreement, then yeah, then I need to be made aware of it. But nothing is imminent.
I would hate for a department head to tell us something that they're requesting involves an imminent threat to safety. And, we don't approve it because it's not a high recommendation. I mean, you put us on notice that it's an imminent threat to safety, and then it's incumbent upon us to move it forward, even though it's not high.
Which one did I address?
I think I went through it last night. I think it is the bridge. Both bridges. I think it's both Millie's and Wisconsin.
Okay, no, forgive me then. Well, Millie's Bridge, that is being worked between Vincent and I know that we're making efforts to put that to work with the contractor on that as far as a redesign. That's both require a degree of engineering that we can't provide at the DPW, so we have to get those contracted. I'm getting assistance from the town on those. They're helping me move those forward. So that's why I'm not really thinking of it on those terms, but we are moving forward to fix both of those locations.
So Stephen, we're gonna, and along the lines of that with the Millie Medicat Bridge, we're gonna be picking that up, including what you just talked about at a later date. And the Wisconsin Bridge is up next, so that's a pretty good segue to that one, if you want to jump on it.
Oh, please. I don't know if anybody, Greg, is anybody available? No. Okay, no, I don't see. Right now we have our strategic planner is helping me with consulting and finding a contractor for work on that bridge. DPW ourselves, we've done work on that bridge in the past, but we're not comfortable with it. We're trying to find someone to actually do the work and get that up to speed. So I'm getting assistance from Mr. Chuck Larson and some other people on getting that up to speed.
Okay. And then, so it's $100,000 supplemental from a FY20 request, which I think was about the same amount of money. You guys have any questions or comments on that? Other than obviously, if it's a life safety thing, we ask, please reflect that and we can act accordingly. Stephen, on that one, I mean, my personal belief is we put in there was a request put in an FY20. None of this is reflective on you or anyone really. And now we're going to do a supplemental. And I just, I'm of the mind that let's do it once, right? And it's never going to get cheaper. And it's something that is, highly utilized by the public. It's very visible, so on and so forth. So just to support that.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Not to cut everybody off, but Greg has a meeting that he has to get to for 11:30.
Okay.
So could we skip to?
Yeah, we're wrapping,
Surfside and
we're
yeah,
wrapping
that's
this,
okay.
we're
Okay.
wrapping this in moments.
Okay, I just wanted to let you know.
Yeah, no, that's great. So Stephen, if you had any comments on that, great. And then we're gonna,
Oh, no, I'm good. Thank you.
and then was there anything on out years in particular that, sticks out in your mind that you'd want us to know about at this particular point?
No, nothing right now. I'm just that DPW as we're still in that recoup and recover mode and refocusing. But there will be more structure and more information coming. So thank you for your patience.
Okay, no, thank you. Any closing questions?
I said one question.
Yeah, Christie.
Stephen, does the Sconset footbridge include painting?
I have to talk to Chuck. I gotta I don't know that offhand. I'm sure it does. If it doesn't, we could cover painting. We're worried about we've given it over because we're worried about the structural integrity and having it properly assessed and reinforced. But whether it includes painting or not, we will paint it.
Okay. Well, Stephen, thank you. We appreciate the time and effort that goes into this, helping keep the citizens informed and helping us citizens get involved with making determinations for the town and the community. So thank you. And we'll be, our process is to, at a later date, this budget season, we'll be reviewing these, making a recommendation. And then that'll be public knowledge. So just so you understand directly.
Thank you.
Yeah, take care. Greg is Tibbins here with us to present the Surfside area roads reconstruction, Lovers Lane, Monahasset, and Orqua.
Greg, do you need me to hang on?
You might want to just stick around in case there's any questions, especially about Lovers, Stephen. Good morning, all. I'm sorry I had to step away very briefly. I do want to just give I heard you talking about Sconset Bridge when I came back in. I have been involved with that a little bit with Chuck Larson. The contract with Vertex is just for the engineering. Painting is actually going to be a separate contract, either through DPW or separate painting. I heard that as a question, and that's just a supplemental in order to shore it up and get the footbridge safe. It's already been done a little bit. You may remember there was already an appropriation 2 years ago, so it's already been shored up. This will finish the project. And also regarding Millie's Bridge, sorry I wasn't here for that. It's a little confusing because Millie's Bridge is also part of the Coastal Resiliency Plan, the CRP, on that large project that was undertaken by Arcadis. And 64 projects totaling something I think makes Brian pass out like $750 million over many years. Millie's Bridge is one of our top 5 priority projects. So I think I'm seeing a gap here. I don't think Stephen was included in the most recent meeting last Tuesday or 2 Tuesdays ago regarding the project. Vince Murphy from NRD, Natural Resources, Chuck Larson from Strategic Planning, and DPW are all involved. So there's a lot of chefs in that project. And right now it's being determined what to do with the bridge. And that will be ramped up in the next couple of months. So sorry I wasn't there for that discussion, and sorry, Stephen, I left you hanging. I'm involved with the Surfside Project. we call these in our project website, we have a page for all the projects. We call them the Surfside Water and Transportation Enhancement Projects. As you all may require, dating back to like 2016. Oh, thank you, Brian. Going back to 2016, there's been appropriations to, after the town took Lover's Lane, Orcawa, and Monahans to eventually reconstruct those roadways and put in side paths, use paths along that area to create a pedestrian and bike connection between Old South Road and Surfside, as well as those roads to the airport, make it safe and everything. So that's been in the works since 2016 appropriation of $1 million under Article 10. Subsequent to that, there were multiple appropriations in 2017, 2018, and 2022 for these projects. So they've been in the works. So they were going to be designed for out years. I got involved because, as you may remember, hopefully, there is a water main expansion project that's happening in this area that is going to overlap on these same roads. So for efficiency and economy of scale, we're figuring, since we are opening the roads as part of this water main expansion project, we should accelerate these other roadway projects so that we don't have to open up these roads again and repave them, do whatever, 3 years from now. So it is actually bringing these out year projects further up. We're hoping, we don't have any analysis of what that kind of money that could save us, because who knows what the cost will be 3 or 4 years from now. But we do have estimates, pretty concrete estimates from one of our contractors, GPI Incorporated, with that $13 million project, that $13 million figure. So to back up again a little bit, the water main project, oh, thank you. That's actually, if you want to go up to that page, thank you, Brian. The water main expansion project is separate from the Lover's Lane roadway project in Orcawa and Monahans. It is a voluntary effort regarding the town's PFAS response, just looking at PFAS in the area, because there was instances of PFAS found in private wells in this area due to the airport's PFAS response that was required by the state. We felt it prudent that, since the water main was already being expanded down Airport Road and a little bit into Monahans, that we could jump onto that. And we did apply for an state revolving fund loan, and our project was selected at 7.8 million. So we do have a 7.8 million with a request for an increase to 8.3 million, no interest loan in order to do this project. As you can see, the water main project affects Lover's Lane, Orcawa, Monahans, in addition to Skyline, Webster, and Nobadir Way. So what you have before you today is a request for $13 million for the roadway projects. Brian, if you want to go up, I mean, you can continue going on up. I think there's a chart, actually, Brian, like on page 8, a little further up, that just has, yep, the next one, I think. Oh, sorry.
This one right here, Greg.
That actually works. There is a chart that has the actual estimates from GPI. That's like on page 11 or 12. But well, and again, so the reason why I'm involved is that we've created a working group with one, major overall PM project management office for this entire area workload, so that we are not redundant repeating efforts and costing more money. So our intent with this request is, once as the water main project is being implemented and completed, which is on a faster track because of the SRF state funding requirements, that project must start, unless we get any sort of waivers, must start by fall of next year. Since we have the roads open, we would like to then start these projects with Lover's Lane, then continue on to Orcawa, and then up to Monahans, which would be, as you can see, the amount of square footage and everything to reconstruct the roadways, provide better drainage, engineered drainage, as well as put in a 10-foot wide multi-use path. They're now called side paths. That's the more proper vernacular these days. And That would as I said, connect Old South all the way down to Surfside, all the way to the airport. And it'll be done in what we call phases, just because they'd be following ideally the completion of the water main project. Now, we do have funding already in place for about $3 million that we've been using to $3 million left out of our, I think, almost roughly a $4 million appropriation to design, do the engineering and conceptual, aspects of all of the projects. Lover's Lane is already much further advanced, already about a year in the works. If the committee's interested, can go to the July 20th select board meeting this year, where there was an update from GPI, as well as last week, or when the 12th was October 12th, there was another update at the select board explaining these projects. So Lover's Lane is further along. It already has we're pretty far along with permitting with the state forest, permitting for national heritage, all that other stuff. We would still need supplemental funding to complete Lovers. And Brian, if you wanted to go to a couple of slides down, you'll see, keep going. There you go. Thank you. That would, this is the supplemental funding that we require for Lovers, Orqua, and Monahans to complete all of the projects. So with the $3 million remaining, we have a $13 million request. Now, if this doesn't happen, if this is not approved, or if it gets to town meeting and it's not approved, the worst case scenario is that the water main project is happening. That's already approved as state funding. And at last year's town meeting, the voters approved a $9 million funding, borrowing, and it was also approved at ballot question number 13 last year. So we have the funding in place for the water. That is going to happen. What would happen though is it would just be trench paved after the project is completed, because the SRF loan does not allow for municipalities to improve and expand roadways. You can only go back to what it originally was. So we're trying to avoid doing any sort of trench paving that may sit there for 2 or 3 years, but that'd be the worst case scenario. The best case is that the money is approved and we already have 2 engineering firms, GPI Incorporated and CDM Smith, working side by side to design all the utilities, as well as the road reconstruction and drainage and bike path to connect all the way up through Monahans. So I've said a lot and I'm sorry. So if there's any questions.
No, that's helpful information. Questions, guys?
Why is this a medium request and not a high request?
I don't make those. I don't know if that came through Libby or Brian. Not to toss you under the bus, Brian, but
Oh, that's fine. We could change it to high. I mean, I think that, I know, I think it probably is, given the fact that we're trying to
Get it.
be more expeditious in the fact that the road's gonna be opened already, and it makes more sense. And
Maybe just take a look at it.
yeah, that's, we could relook at the priority listing. But,
Also the reflection.
I think it is a pretty important project and reflection of trying to coordinate and do better coordination. So,
And for the voters.
yeah. I,
Yes.
Good. Any other? Just a couple quick ones, Greg. The cost for the patchwork is probably de minimis. So it's not, we're, by combining these, we're moving ahead, combining the water phase with the tarmac phase, but it's not like we're getting some dramatic cost savings. Maybe what, a few $100,000?
I would say that at max, I was going to say about a $200,000 figure. The trench paving doesn't cost that much at all. It was not going to be improving the roads. It was not going to be looking at re-engineering or affecting any drainage. So we're not doing any sort of savings. I mean, it would happen. The water project would happen. It just is not mega saving.
Okay, and then my other question, and then I'll get to Jill because I see her hand now. Thanks, Brian. My understanding is that the multi-use paths will be on each of these roadways. Is that correct?
Correct. The presentation, which I know we just went through really quickly, Brian, if you even wanted to go back a slide or two, it shows the general layout that the shared path that we call it the side path would be 10 feet wide, which is the requirement by the state, with a buffer zone in between the roadway and the path. We do have a couple of pinch points on Monahans. The bike path would be on the airport side, the fence side, and as you all may know from driving that, it does get a little narrow there against the fence. So the engineers are trying to figure that out right now, maybe even to the point of taking the easement and shifting the road a little bit so the path and the buffer can remain the same, consistent all the way up.
And is the a couple of quick other ones that are related, and then Jill, the section for lovers is similar?
Yeah, very similar. It would be on the western side of so coming from Old South down towards Orqua, Surfside, Boulevard, it'll be on the right-hand side. And a good portion would be well into the state forest, where that existing path is for any of you who have frequented the state forest. Already gotten the permits and approvals for that. And then when it gets to Rugged Road, is that Rugged, I'm pretty sure, is where the Boy Scout camp is, correct?
Okay, okay.
Yes, it would jump over there and then come a little closer. Again, that just a buffer continuing all the way down. And even though this project, the water project will not extend all the way down to Boulevard, the bike path project will.
And Greg, the road you're talking about the one that goes through the state forest?
Yes, so if you're
That's
familiar,
Tacoma.
No, Rugged.
is it Tacoma? Okay, thank you. It might be
I don't know
Tacoma.
if Tacoma goes all the way through.
Rugged, well, Rugged's where the Boy Scouts are.
Yeah,
Oh,
so,
yeah, but Tacoma goes through the state forest.
right.
So the question on Tacoma was even though there's gonna be water work there, that's gonna remain dirt.
Yes. And
Okay, and then
correct.
last
I guess-
question.
Sorry.
I'm good with a yes, thank you.
Okay.
Last question, and then Jill are the passing on the left signs included in this?
Passing on the left.
You can ask Livy about that.
Okay. Don't know
Jill-
about that one.
You're up.
Hi, Greg. Sorry, can you go back to, I understand what you're doing lovers, but can you go back to Orkawa and Monahasset and explain what side of the road the bike path is on? Someone had mentioned early that you were looking at putting the bike path in the road, kind of like you've done on Orange Street.
Yep.
And it looks to me like you're going into people's property. So I'm trying to understand that better.
Correct. So the what Brian has up right now, slide 11, is actually what Orca would be. So going from Lovers towards Monahasset, the bike path would be on the south side, the right side, not in the road. There'd be a vegetated buffer. And my understanding is that most of that layout is in the public way. It just so happens that much of the utility in that roadway is already under where the bike path would be. So not 100% sure, but we are engaged in getting easements and voluntary easements or any sort of takings in. I do not recall any on Orkawa. Similarly, going up Monahasset, the bike path will be on the right, on the airport side, so the east side. And so we already have, it's very interesting because even though it's public property, it's airport property. So we still have to do an easement with the airport, which Ken Bogran is already involved with. And it would still be a buffer. And in the area where there may be a pinch point, Jill, where the engineers may seek to move Monahasset a little bit to the west in order to accommodate a buffer zone for the bike path. There would be the need for a small taking right at, I believe it's Webster. But that's not even completely designed yet. But aside from that, there's no other private property takings or anything.
I thought Webster, that's on the other side of the road though.
Right, so that'd be if the road was moved to the west in
Oh.
order to accommodate. If it's not moved at
I got
all
you.
and they can
Yeah.
figure it out, right? You may be
Right.
confused from, Jill, the other day we did present that Skyline and Webster, which are private roads, we are doing voluntary easements for the water project, not for the roadway project.
Yeah, yeah, no, I know that. I'm
Okay.
I've gotten the emails on that. Yeah, the reason I'm just asking about the bike paths in particular is on Orqua is that is such I know there are a lot of problems with the electrical there. And the cable that it's constantly being worked on, constantly having flooding there. Although it got
Yeah.
much better, you guys did some temporary drainage, which was great. And on that side, it's just the terrain really goes up and over, and it's just a lot of driveways. So I just wondered if you were having any, pushback from the public, but it sounds like you're saying you already own that property.
So far, no pushback, but we just started engaging in this outreach and creating a website and things. So maybe people aren't really paying attention. But my
Right.
understanding is that the public way does extend into that. And I do know that some of the discussion has already evolved into would the bike path at those points, would they become Belgian block, or the skirts over, from the driveway past the bike path, so they've already started engaging that discussion. So I think we might be okay with it. But I do know the
Okay.
utilities are under that side, and they have discussed the issue and the need to move some of those utilities for those reasons you were saying.
Right, right. Okay, thanks, Greg. I appreciate it. It's good to see because I hadn't seen this.
I'm assuming you maybe live in that area.
I live at the corner of Skyline and Orqua, and at one
Okay.
point they wanted to put all the drainage in my front
I was
yard.
gonna
so
say,
I'm
yeah,
slightly
that was-
sensitive to
okay.
it, but
There you go.
the bike path was always going across the street. That doesn't really affect me, but
Yeah.
yeah, but even so, it's an odd street, and it's become kind of a dangerous street.
Yeah, yeah.
Because for a lot of reasons, it's kind of narrow and kind of windy, and then it goes up and down and you can't see. And so
Right.
it's become a real cut through, and, I'm glad that the town will take it over and hopefully make it a little safer.
Excellent. Me too.
Christie?
Greg, is any of this funding directed towards private driveway apron repair or construction? In other words, as the roadway or multi-use path butts up to properties that we would need to do some driveway construction.
So what I was trying to say, and you said it better than I did, the aprons that may be, the drivers that may be affected and the aprons that maybe need to be reconstructed onto the roadway, like heading into the roadway, would be paid for through this project. I don't think any driveways would be fixed or anything, but I can't say for certain. I can say from experience, when the airport did Skyline, half of Skyline, as part of their notice of response action, they did repair some of the driveways at that point but there was no bike path. It was just where they dug. If that helps you at all.
Well, yeah, I just want to make sure we're not adding Belgian block to someone's property that doesn't normally have it.
Gotcha. That's
yeah.
right. But that's what the discussion's been with Ken and those. Exactly. So they took aerial views to find out who has them now, and
Perfect.
yeah.
Due diligence.
Greg, two quick questions. One, question or comment. Where are we with our transportation planner? It occurs to me, one of the elements, Jill brought up a topic, this is a cut through, it's typically pretty high speed, it's a straight shot. One of the quieting elements, as opposed to you using like cobblestones, roadway is street trees. And then there's obviously other techniques that, it's not my area of expertise, but I'm aware of. So I'm just wondering if thoughts have been put into that, and if not yet, if that is part of your process. And then the other part of it is the comment. You can address everything at once, if you please. I don't think it's, nothing on anyone. I don't think that it's fair to still characterize this as a reconstruction. I think it's a disservice to the work that's being done, and I think it may give the wrong impression that could be reflected in people thinking, gee, that's a lot of money to redo a road. I mean, this is basically, it's the Surfside area roads enhancements, as the presentation indicates, for this particular area, and it seems to me like it should be reflected as such in the capital program documents, which then go on to FinCom and select board and so on and so forth. it just doesn't seem to capture it. I mean, you're basically relocating these roads in order to put in a multi-use path. It's a whole nother project, and I think it would be better to address it with something along the lines of the term enhancement. But could you speak to that and maybe the other one?
Sure. Well, I'm glad to hear you say that because we feel it's a really big project that's really valuable for the entire community, not just the area residents. And it's funny, as our I'm sorry. Our transportation planner, I think you may have all met him, Patrick Reed. He's involved. He was invited to this meeting, but he had another meeting at the same time, so he couldn't join us. And he's involved, and he's the one who actually said we're minimizing what we're doing by just calling these the Surfside area roadway projects. And he's the one who came up with the name water and transportation enhancements. And it may not even really fit the entire bill because it's a much larger. It really is an area plan right now. An area improvement plan. But so yes, thank you for that. And if anybody can come up with a better idea, we would love to have a different name for it. And as far as the traffic mitigation and the calming, that has been a huge discussion, and it's also been brought to the board twice, the select board, you know, for Lover's Lane. And what, you know, exactly what you're saying, trees, Belgian block, curves in the road, and how would that be managed? And right now the conceptual designs for Orco and Monahans, which are on the website under the project developments page, under the transportation page, you can just type in the search bar Surfside projects. It does have various elements for traffic calming, and which will then be brought to the public. We're intending to have 2 public sessions for the residents as well as anybody else who wants to join. But we're waiting until we have better plans in hand. And what we're assuming would be like early December, and then also in January or February, and then bring them to the board. But yes, and funny on the bike path side, the side path side, where we put some trees and everything else, we're running into the engineering battle of, if that's where the water pipes are going, we don't want to have trees planted on them. So they're figuring that out right now.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you. I appreciate the consideration there.
Thanks.
Unless we have other questions for Greg on this one, I think that's a wrap. Okay. Again, thanks, gentlemen. We appreciate your being here and the information you presented. And we're going to move on to the next step in our meeting.
Thank you very much. Sorry I have to run.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we can skip. We don't really have enough getting a new day and time, venue. I don't know. Was there something? Frankly, I don't recall what that was.
The update was that we need NCTV to be there if we move to the community room, and
Or want to comment. Oh, that was it. We were going to look at want to comment.
yes, I will have to.
I remember we did that without much fanfare a while back. Seems like a lifetime ago. Report writing, anything from Plum?
Sue reached out to them to find out Bill's availability, and we're just waiting to hear back from him.
Okay.
And we should have better information for you next week.
Was that PDF I provided helpful?
Everything that you've provided so far has been helpful.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Good answer.
Very well, very polished too. But as we're, okay, so that number 9 is subject to update. Green sheet committees, nothing there. There was something, I thought we had something else on the agenda. I guess not. Good to the order. Comments? Good to go. So Thursday, October 27th, 10 a.m. will be our next meeting. And with that, I would like to ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Richard, you've made all the motions today. On
Aye.
your motion.
Aye.
Christie,
Aye.
Jill,
Hi.
and I'm an aye. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, everybody.
Excellent.
Okay.